Hola Alfonso, un gusto saludarte a vos y a todos los que van a ver este video. Mi nombre es Rosemary Golcher, soy artista visual, me gradué en el año 95 de la Universidad de Costa Rica en la carrera de Artes Plásticas con énfasis en pintura. En el año 2000 comencé a incursionar en la fotografía digital y hasta la fecha son dos técnicas que trabajo en mis proyectos: pintura acrílica y la fotografía digital.
Hi, my name is Ravikumar Kashi. I'm an artist from India. I studied painting, printmaking, and then handmade paper making in Glasgow and Korea. I do painting, drawing, sculpture, photography, installation. Then I write about art in my mother tongue Kannada and then in English. And I teach design in a school of architecture and school of design.
Para mí la familia es el concepto que mejor identifica la memoria y se inicia cuando nacemos con nuestros padres, hermanos, tíos, abuelos, con nuestros hijos, nuestros nietos, y son recuerdos que nos van a acompañar el resto de nuestra vida hasta que morimos.
For me, memory is partly intrinsic, felt by you as a person. It can be a wound that you had when you fell somewhere, or a certain smell that brings back all the childhood memories, or it can be a certain temperature or a wind, cool wind that touches your face, or it can be a painting. When you see a painting, you feel like as if you have seen that kind of imagery somewhere, and then you start connecting and all the files open up. In my practice, memory plays a very important role. I make a notation of all the ideas that come to me about my painting and work in a journal, and I've been maintaining this for about 20 years now. And when you just open that book and then you start looking at those little notations in word and imagery, all the files open up, and then there is nothing like a day when you are out of ideas. So those little drawings, those little notations are like a zip file which can open up an entire idea for you, and so there is never a blank space. The other idea of memory is that I've done a series of photographs which are called remembered abstraction. When I see a cracked wall and I see a painted wall which is partly smudged up with a lot of texture on it, I remember another artist, an abstract painter who I had seen long ago, whom I admire, and then I take a picture of that, and that has become a series of works called Remembered Abstraction, and I've shown them in India, and 3 of those images have come to the show in Italy. So memory plays a very important role in building up this whole idea of who you are, what you're capable of, what is your success, what is your failure. So it's all ingrained in the memory. Especially the visual memory, that you saw some object, some detail.
Se inicia con la familia y continúa con los amigos, la escuela, el colegio, la universidad, el trabajo y como ciudadanos donde vivimos y como ciudadanos del mundo.
The question is, does collective memory exist? I would say yes, collective memory is there. In a way, it is what a language is made up of. A language is something that has been passed on from generation to generation, and then that goes on adding up to its variety and volume and the kind of meanings it can generate. And if we are all using a certain kind of visual language, I would say that is part of the collective memory. Because without that collective memory, every artist will be starting from scratch. And you'll also not have a common shared areas with other artists where you can exchange views. If it's a single person's memory, then it will all be his own version of what has to be communicated. And without a shared space, without a shared area, there can be no communication at all. So keeping that point in mind, I would say there is collective memory in terms of our common understanding of what is language, what is the meaning of that, what is the meaning of a certain symbol. And this common memory comes from the family, the parents, and then your cultural upbringing, your country from where you reside or where you come out from. All these add up to the layering of the common memory. And it is also, in a way, one can say it's memory leads to condition. If I believe a certain meaning will mean certain words will mean certain things, that is what I have imbibed, that is what I have been told, that is what I have kept in my mind as a conditioning. And artists normally start their language based on a collective memory, but they also start building up their own version of that, their own take on that collective memory. Otherwise, the freshness will not come in a work of art. It will be as if you are repeating what has been told to you all the time. So artists don't stop at using a collective language, collective metaphor or the imagery which is seen around, but they add a certain twist to that language. They bring their own, what shall I say, a transformative quality. That is what makes it their own, even though that visual language which they are using is based on a larger memory of what an image means, what a word means, what a musical tone means. So without a collective memory, there is no language, there is no communication possible.
¿Cuál es la relación entre memoria individual y colectiva? Pues la memoria individual siempre estará en cada uno de nosotros. Recuerdos alegres, recuerdos tristes, que generalmente están relacionados con recuerdos colectivos, los cuales pueden impactar de diferente manera entre una persona y otra.
So I was answering this question of does a relationship exist between individual memory and collective memory. I was saying that yes, there is a connection, and not only that, if you think of an artist as somebody who is basing or who is using the existing language as beginning, then he is adding his own version, his own what shall I say, a certain aspect to that language, and then for the coming generation, this becomes a base on which they can grow further, on which either they can accept the whole thing, or they can rebel and transform, or entirely destroy the whole language and come up with something new. But I see, even when you say you are bringing out something totally new, it is in relation to what is already existing. Without something already there is no reference point to the new at all. So if I say there is something that is existing, compared to that, you can say this is the new language, this is the new version that is coming up. So that reference to the old, reference to the collective memory is always there in language. In visual language, verbal language, any other kind of communication that is possible.
¿Qué tan importante es la memoria para tu trabajo como artista? Está muy relacionado con lo que me gusta, con lo que me llama la atención, específicamente con la fotografía, Tengo una gran variedad de fotos que voy archivando de manera clasificada y dependiendo del proyecto las voy utilizando.
If I have to answer the question how important memory is in my work, then I would say it plays a vital role. There are two parts. Let's say one is that my visual language has evolved over a period of time, keeping parts of what happened over a period of time and then transforming it and changing it, so on and so forth. But it is also about, especially in the last 10 years, I've been dealing with this idea of what do objects mean in our life. If I keep a certain pen given by a loved one, you are not only just keeping the pen with you, you are also keeping that memory alive. Or if a famous person like say Gandhi, when he passed away, all the objects that were used by him are kept in several museums in India, as if those little objects can somehow represent or substitute Gandhi's presence. And I have done a series of work on Gandhi, which is based on the memory of Gandhi being replayed in different ways. And then I have also done an artist book called Everything He Touched, as if that one touch is somehow remaining in the object, and then because of that touch, the object turns into something else other than an ordinary pin or an ordinary pen or an ordinary book, and that touch transforms the whole idea of an object. And then if you go to, especially in India, when you go to a middle class person's house, there is something called a showcase, and those showcases display various kind of objects. Maybe a prize that was won by the child, or it can be they went to a tour and they brought back a memorabilia from there, or it can be somebody who has just passed away. So that one showcase becomes a kind of public display of the memory that those objects have imbibed as part of the personality in them. And then over a period of time, again and again, I have touched upon this idea of how we remember objects. And like if I have to ask you about a certain incident that happened some time ago, and when you start recalling, it is not the full incidents that you will give me back as a replay, but you will start giving me the most essential part of it, which are crucial in building up that narrative. So even though I am representing my time, representing the kind of issues that are happening in around me, but in this representing, I am changing something, and that memory gets transformed, and the next generation will get that version of the memory which I have displayed, or which I have let others see in my work, in my painting, or photographs. So the idea of memory in my work plays a very, very crucial role. You want the memory, but you also want to transgress the kind of binding that memory can hold you. It should not become a chain. It can become a starting point from where you can move on further, explore things, and let go of the initial moorings that the memory can bring to you. Otherwise, memory will become a conditioning process, and then you, without exploring new avenues, new ideas and new areas, you go on repeating yourself, and then it becomes a mechanical production of your work. So for me, you need memory, you need the understanding of who you are, what kind of language you are using, what kind of imagery is coming, but also leave enough scope to overcome the kind of binding or conditioning that memory can bring, and then go somewhere else which was not traveled before. So that adventure is very important for me. Otherwise, I would stay in a very comfortable zone of what is already ingrained in my memory as something that can be done. So this watchfulness, I think, is very important for me.
¿Crees que la memoria es importante para construir el futuro? Por supuesto que sí. A lo largo de la historia el hombre se ha equivocado, ya sean guerras, catástrofes, tragedias, y no se puede olvidar los errores que llevaron a esa situación. Y a nivel personal nos hemos equivocado muchas veces. Es una manera de aprender lo que no debemos repetir. Así también debemos recordar e imitar los triunfos e éxitos de otros para encontrar el camino correcto para hacer bien las cosas. Bueno, para mí fue un placer estar con vos y con los amigos que nos van a escuchar. Gracias, chao.
Do I believe that memory is important to build a future? I would say yes. It is like, if you want to reach bigger heights, you need to know what your ancestors did, what your elders did, what happened in history. Otherwise, you will end up in making the same mistakes or not understanding it in a proper way. So I think yes, the memory becomes a building block, but especially an artist should go beyond that domain knowledge, what one would say, and explore new ideas, new avenues, and really go adventurous. Otherwise, future is not possible. If you just stay in the memory, then you are replaying what is already there. So I would say yes, to some extent memory is important, but it is also important to go beyond that initial point.